Greetings and welcome. Happy 11/11 and an official welcome to SEM Mondays. As you come on in, please shoot some emojis or give me a thumbs up, shoot some hearts, a yes, anything in the chat so I know that we are indeed streaming. It was a little bit awkward getting going here. Don't know what's going on with YouTube today. And, I am really, I'm thrilled that this ended up working literally in the last minute. So I want to officially greet you and welcome you to SEM Mondays, which of course is short for Source-Energy-Medicine Mondays. And this is my weekly time to be live here on YouTube. And what we are about to experience will be an open Q&A. A little bit of an update on our fundraising campaign to transition to becoming a 501c3 nonprofit organization, which will, I believe, help to ensure the future of Source Energy Medicine, and especially the part where I at least am firmly committed to keeping everything that's essential to your journey with Source Energy Medicine available for free. And then we will segue into a group non-material Source Energy Medicine session, a group energy healing session, if you will. And I'm always curious to know what folks who are here with me live, if you have questions, just go ahead and type them into the chat. And we'll just keep moving right along here. So, fundraising update, $6,000 is the goal. We're pretty far from $6,000. We're just under 4,000, and I'm not 100% sure that that's completely accurate, but I believe that's where we are. And I got to tell you, I started talking about this. This will be the third SEM Mondays that I'm talking about this. I thought with, we have about 1,500 people who are inside of our, who have signed up for our free mini course in Source Energy Medicine, the Quick Start Guide, right? So I figure with 1,500 people to raise $6,000, pretty easy. We should be able to do it in a week with just a few emails, right? Not getting crazy with emails and not turning into a full-on like NPR kind of fundraising campaign, and yet that's what we're doing here. And the really sad part to me is, there's a couple of things, right? Like if everybody in our community cared about each other, even to a small degree, meaning, of those 1,500 people, there are a much smaller percentage who have registered for our online workshops, right? Who are going through our online workshops. And the very large majority, I think there's only been one person who has made a financial contribution to our fundraising campaign who's not part of our online courses. And she's the mom of someone who is. So, she's one of our non-material Source Energy Medicine practitioners. So, thank you for your kind generosity and your really, really lovely note and kind thought. It was really beautiful. But, 1,500 folks, if everyone just contributed a little bit, we wouldn't be talking about this. And the $6,000 is like the first round of our fundraising. This is just to take care of all of the infrastructure, right? The legal stuff. And I was thinking the second round was going to be later in the spring. And here we are. It's starting the spring and we're still talking about this. So for those of you who have contributed, thank you. It really, there have been times throughout this that I've been like, nobody cares. I really felt like nobody cares. And then it was okay. A few people care. And now it's like fewer than 15 people really care. And it's hard, honestly, for me to keep my enthusiasm because, if everybody doesn't really care, then we can change the way we do business, right? We can change the way we share Source Energy Medicine technology and just, figure things out another way. Or everyone can just open up their hearts and their generosity, and think about if you were in a position where you wanted to explore source energy medicine, and let's say hypothetically it were $10, and $10 right now would be cost prohibitive, would you want to be in that place? And I've been in that place numerous times in my life, and very often it was the kindness and generosity and love and support of others that was the saving grace in that. So I am firmly committed to keeping the fundamentals of everything that's essential to your journey with source energy medicine, which really is the charging labels, right? And then some directions. And, so we don't have to continue to offer the material that's in the Quick Start Guide for free. And I would hate to change that, right? I would hate to change that into a monthly or an annual or a lifetime membership. And that's the way all of our online workshops are set up. But that honestly looks like the way that we are going to transition, in that the charging labels will remain free and you have to read some directions. There won't be any videos for you to watch. And if you want the videos, if you want the really good love and care and attention to help you to get started and to help to ensure you stick with source energy medicine, then you'll have to pay for that. So, and I hope we don't get to that. But here we are, we're having a really hard time raising $6,000, and the round 2 of fundraising is going to be $10,000. And I'm thinking, like, why even continue? I am, most of my friends would tell you, like, I'm the most optimistic guy in the world that they've ever met. And yet right now there's data that is really tough for me to sit with, right? I would much rather be here today just answering your questions and doing maybe a longer group energy healing session than talking about all of this. So, for those of you who have contributed, and some folks sent checks, and I so appreciate that, and I know not everyone is, the technology is complicated for some folks, and some folks just like to send checks. I always love receiving checks, so thank you to those who have sent them, because usually there's a lovely note that's attached with the check. And electronic transactions, it's way less personal. So if you haven't contributed, please do. There will be links in the show notes below this player. So whether you're watching this live or in replay, you can send a check. And if it is absolutely not possible for you to financially support us, I hope you don't have any feelings associated with that would be less than constructive. But know that, at some point in the future, when your financial condition changes, then, we're going to be a nonprofit organization, hopefully for many, 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 many years to come, which means we're going to be fundraising for years to come. And I got to figure out how to do it better than we are right now. But I remain highly confident that we'll figure it all out, and there'll be other avenues that we'll be able to explore. One conversation that has come up with between me and some folks who are kind of on the inner circle of source energy medicine, some of our practitioners, is there was a time when we had our charging label technology, when it was, I think it was, I don't know, $197 or something to download the file. And if you couldn't afford that, you could discount it, right? It was very complicated, but you could discount it, right? If $197 was cost prohibitive, you could discount it. And if you couldn't, if the $10, I think, was the minimum, if that was out of, the scope of possibility, then just send us an email and we'll send you the file. And the whole time that we did that, like all of the emails that I received from the folks who didn't have the $10 were heartbreaking. And underlying that, in every email that I received, and most of them were really, really, really touching, and most of these were from people who did earn really well, right? They were professionals. They had investments and houses and cars, and then they got sick. and they couldn't work anymore, and then their savings dwindled. They had to cash in their investments. They had to sell their houses, and many of these folks were like living in their children's houses, or with another relative or a close friend, literally like living in their basement or sleeping on their couch. And they exhausted their entire net wealth trying to heal. And here they are coming to Source Energy Medicine. I'm thinking, my God, I trust in the divine orchestration of everything, but it was heartbreaking. And these are folks who are not used to asking others for charity, if you will. And I could very easily put myself in their place, because I've been there before, not that scenario, but certainly been there before. And I never wanted anyone to have to write that email to me again, ever. So literally, there was one email that just broke my heart. It was a very similar story to that, where I just called my web guy and said, look, just change it to click here and download the labels, and then we'll ask people who download the labels to support us financially. And it was a horrible idea, because 99 out of 100 people who downloaded the charging label file did not offer financial support, and it was awful. It was like a disastrous test. And very often, so we'd send emails and follow up with people, and very often a lot of people said, "Oh, when I get results, then I'll send a contribution." And Wayne Dyer, who, God, I miss that man, and I know he's not really gone, but I miss that man, and he certainly has left me enough to read that will occupy my reading time for the rest of my life. And yet I just miss that man. It's such a beautiful light being. I would definitely not be standing here doing this today if it wasn't for the influence that man directly had on my life. But he wrote, I think it was his second book, that said, the title of the book was "You Will See It When You Believe It." Right? And, it's a twist. It's a really clever title for a book, because the common, saying is, I'll believe it when I see it. And that's not the way the universe works. So these folks who were saying, oh, I'll make a financial contribution when I'm at 100% results, they're doing it backwards, right? So by seeing things, like, you have to believe first before you can actually get to the 100%. It's a big part of what I talk about in our online workshops. And there absolutely is a lot to the placebo effect, right? Dr. Joe Dispenza, New York Times bestselling author, he has a great big fat book called "You Are the Placebo Effect," where he really exploits the whole power of our beliefs, the power of the mind. So the whole "I'll make a contribution when I receive a miracle" is like the opposite of the way the universe works, right? It's being kind and generous up front, as if the miracle has already been received, and that helps to ensure that the miracle is going to continue to come, because the other is literally pushing it away, right? You're demanding the universe to bend to your needs and your whims and your wishes and your wants and your demands. And only if the universe gives you what you want, then maybe you'll be a kind, nice, generous person. And it's not the way the universe works. So, nor can you give money to get money, right? There's a lot of supposedly higher consciousness churches that kind of demand 10% of your gross earnings be tithed to the church. And they do it in kind of like the movie The Secret kind of way, right? Like the secret to financial abundance, and it's so not. Like, you cannot manipulate the universal laws, right? Only if you give any percentage of your gross income away from a place of just pure love, right? Doing it because that's who you are, will that come back to you times 10 or times 100? Giving 10% to get 10% or to get 20% never, ever works. And if it's worked for you, you've got some strategies that might be working now, but I guarantee you they're not going to work for you long term. So, so that's what I have, and gosh, it's interesting because so many folks who I'm just looking at the chat. So many folks. First of all, thank you for all of your kind words and blessings and greetings and cool emojis. There's so many. I think almost every single person who is on with us live has contributed, which is really challenging for me because you don't need to hear all of this. You get it. You love Source Energy Medicine and what we stand for together as a community, not just my goals, my values, but what we stand for as a community. And you've spoken with your financial support. So thank you. And there's a documentary that I watched recently, and I streamed it on Amazon, and I'm sure you can stream it wherever you stream your video these days. But it's called Superhuman, and then the subtitle is it's Superhuman, Making the Invisible Visible, or something like that. But if you search for documentary film, it was released in 2020, so it's totally current. And Dr. Dean Radin, who was for me one of the standout experts in the wildly popular films What the Bleep Do We Know and What the Bleep Down the Rabbit Hole, he's in that. And it explores a lot of what we talk about in Source Energy Medicine and beyond. Like there was stuff that literally just like was jaw dropping for me, like what the children are doing in this documentary is just so inspiring, and I had no idea. I mean, I've studied a lot of psychokinesis, and which a lot of people think is mind over matter, and it's really not. It's really heart energy over matter. But that's a whole different conversation. But psychokinesis is a piece of it. But then they have there's one segment is of children who are doing these extraordinary things, absolutely extraordinary things, with depriving their senses, right? Reading books without being able to like so heavily blindfolded, run obstacle courses, throw balls to specific people. It really very, very, very inspiring. But it really is talking about the spiritual side of physics, right? The spiritual side of our universe, how the universe works. So I think you'll love it, and I posted it in the community forum of our fundamentals workshops because, it's just like such a great film, and it's a great film to share with your friends and family, especially those who don't really understand Source Energy Medicine, because by the time you finish that, and there are a whole bunch of others as well, but it's kind of funny. I was talking with a young man who was actually mentoring me. I think he's 27 or so, and his comment was, once the scientific world catches up with the metaphysical world, then we're going to be in great shape. And I just looked at him, I was like, well, when you were probably about 7 years old, probably before you were born, I mean, really, a lot of these conversations have been going on in the world of physics for probably 100 years, except they had to be done in secret, right? They could not jeopardize their professional careers to talk about some of the things, especially like the influence of the mind, the power of the mind, the power of the subconscious mind. So, and he had not heard of the film What the Bleep Do We Know? And I was just shocked, which is, I mean, I get it. He's super young and was a child when the film was released. And yet, it's what he's like really interested in, right? He's very, very interested in both science and spirituality. And, gosh, for at least 20 years that I'm aware of it, a lot of leading edge physicists, very publicly, very open. Dr. Dean Radin is just such an inspiration, and just beautiful, beautiful, caring individual, and just super bright. Just absolutely brilliant. So check out Superhuman. Stream it wherever you stream videos, and I'll post a comment or something at some point in the future with the exact title, but you should be able to find it. wherever you stream videos. And I streamed it on Amazon Prime, streaming for free. And I just thought it was just beautifully produced and very nicely done. So, and if by some reason you haven't seen What the Bleep Do We Know, you gotta. And I used to talk about this a lot in our workshops. And, so there was What the Bleep Do We Know, and then there was What the Bleep Down the Rabbit Hole. And then there was like collector's editions that came out that were multiple DVDs. And the filmmakers, their background is not filmmaking. Their background is actually computer science, right? Programming. And they programmed their DVDs to be able to play randomly, if you will. There is no randomness, but you can choose that in the settings. So every time you watch it, it plays, in a sense, for you, right? It really plays for what I'm needing to hear. So they take everything that I talk about and What the Bleep, and they coded it all so that the special edition DVDs all play like that. And I think it's just absolutely brilliant. Very fun thing to do. So I'm going to segue into doing the group non-material source energy medicine session. I didn't see any questions in the chat, but we'll do the group energy healing session, and then we will come on back, and right before I come back, I'll check and see if anyone has any questions that are urgent, and if not, we will then just wrap things up for the day. So if you are completely new to the energy healing component within source energy medicine, it's known as the non-material aspect. NON material, meaning no material substance, right? There's no paper charging labels, there's no bottles, there's no water, there's no physical substance. It is the superhuman, really, version, that documentary Superhuman. It's like that version of making source energy medicine, if you will, right? And it is phenomenally fast. It'll probably be 5 minutes. My intention for this session is to literally transform, balance, and restore those aspects that are most important to you staying well during this pandemic. It does not replace a full or a complete non-material source energy medicine session. We can't do that as non-material source energy medicine practitioners. With groups, very, very different than working with one-on-one. And yet, within a group, I can focus on the things that are the most important to your health and well-being. And on your end, I always invite you to, just get as comfortable as you possibly can, relax, turn ringers and anything that would be distracting off, because a minimum of distractions absolutely helps to increase the allowance, and that's what we're looking for, no resistance and very high allowance. There definitely is no order of difficulty when it comes to choosing a goal or a challenge, because it is that divine energy, it is that infinite intelligence in you that is always responsible for healing yourself, not just within source energy medicine, but in any modality that you could possibly explore, even surgery and things like that. So it is always the love and the grace of the divine, the love and the grace of the source of all creation, that pure, perfect part of you, that eternal nature, right? That's the part that's responsible for healing always. And it's the human part, the mortal part, the egoic part that's always responsible for the mess, for the imbalance, for the dis-ease. And I have to laugh about that, because we as humans tend to mess things up pretty good. I think a lot of the exploration of source energy medicine is to transform, balance, and restore all of the stuff that I created as a human, so that in a sense I'm less human and I'm much more divine, right? I'm more the way the source of all creation intended me to have this life experience, right? The ego is still there, right? And that's something that we're exploring in the non-material source energy medicine practitioners group, like how to really do something with the ego to the point where it is an obedient servant, right, rather than the master and lord of the house, if you will. So it's fascinating. We're like nowhere close to it, and yet we're making pretty good progress. So But I think even when it is the obedient servant, it's still there, right? And in part, it is a self-preservation mechanism, and yet, my God, talk about getting away from its original job, right? It's doing like everybody else's job except that most of the time. So choose one thing, one goal, one challenge that you'd like to experience, that you'd like to focus on. And I always invite you to choose one so that it's really easy to track progress, right? If you choose 5, then it's much more difficult and you might think, nothing's happening, and you just give up hope, right? You give up and you move on to something else. So choose one, much easier to track. There is absolutely added benefit to either watching the replay of this again, and in the replay, you can choose a different goal, different challenge. You can watch the replay from any of these that are available on, there's created a playlist that's just for the replays of SEM Mondays on our YouTube channel. And on one hand, they're all the same in terms of potential and possibility, and yet there certainly are some that stand out in my mind, at least, right? So it's as if they're all outstanding, and then there are some that just stand out beyond that, if you will. So I hope that makes sense. And then you're in, and really, even though it is, the part of you that is responsible for healing yourself, like, that's not a part that you're in charge of, right? You're not in charge of beating your heart. You're not in charge of your cells dividing and replicating. You're not in charge of your hair growing. So trust that part that is also responsible for doing those functions to also take care of this for you. So relax, get as comfortable as you possibly can. I turn my camera off, so what I'm doing is not distracting. There'll be some chanting going on in the background, eternal Om, and it has nothing to do with the work. It's just so you know that we're still broadcasting. There'll be a title slide up in case anybody joins us late. And then probably be 5 or 7 minutes, and I'll come back, and if there are any last-minute questions, we'll take care of that, and then wrap things up for today. And God willing, we'll be back here next Monday at a regular time. So go ahead and take a nice deep breath. And as much as possible, try and let go. Let go of everything that you've experienced so far today. And just allow yourself to fully be here now. Be here with an open heart and a curious mind. Be here with a sense of gratitude for the divine orchestration that led you to this moment. Be here now, trusting in that divine energy that is beating your heart and digesting your food. That same energy that took a sperm and an egg and 9 months later created the perfection that is you. And as you think of that one goal or one challenge that you would like to focus our attention on here today, try and see it the way the source of all creation sees it, in that there is no order of difficulty when it comes to healing and blessing and miracles. It's no more difficult to heal any condition rather than another, whether it's believed to be inherited or acquired, genetic, or you just picked it up. There is no order of difficulty. And as much as possible, I invite you to hold the perspective that the source of all creation has of you, which is, I believe, the source of all creation can only see your perfection, your radiance. your beauty in every way. Beauty can be experienced and expressed. Your eternal nature, your unique genius, your worthiness, your sinlessness, your greatness. Continue to breathe comfortably and continue to continue to receive the gifts and the blessings and the miracles. I invite you to take a nice deep breath as you continue to allow and continue to receive the blessings and the gifts, the transformation, the balance, and the restoration from this session. Continue to breathe comfortably. Continue to trust in the process. And continue to see the challenge or the goal that you chose to work on through the perspective of the source of all creation, or from the perspective of the source of all creation. So, if by chance there is anyone who is experiencing this, would like to learn more about the non-material aspect of source energy medicine, there's a video on our YouTube channel. You can just search for source energy medicine non-material aspect, and it'll come up. And it's pretty in-depth explanation of what the non-material aspect of source energy medicine is and isn't, for that matter. So I took a quick scan through the chat before I came on back, and thank you for all of the kind words and the blessings and the cool emojis and the greetings. Some totally amazing, awesome people who are here with us live, and I'm sure many, many more will check this out in replay. I don't see any questions in the chat, so I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up for our time together today. I think it's really important for you to know that even though this work was very short in terms of linear time, it will continue to literally be uploaded, downloaded, and installed into every aspect of your being for hours to come. Absolute added benefit to either coming back and rewatching the replay from this either this evening or tomorrow morning, or check out the replay from any of the SEM Mondays that are archived on our YouTube channel. Thank you again for those who have contributed to our fundraising campaign, and if you have not, please go ahead and take care of that so that we can move forward with just more time for questions and answers and more time for group energy healing sessions, and absolutely help to ensure the future of source energy medicine remains not only openly and freely available for everyone, but just we can help so many more people, and we will have to be able to create greater and greater infrastructure, right? I think as amazing as the Quick Start Guide is, it certainly could be better, right? There's improvements, there are enhancements. We could build a community forum in that, and none of that's going to happen without your generous financial support. So thank you. As always, I wish you continued blessings on your journey with source energy medicine, and God willing, I'll see you back here next Monday at a regular time. Bye for now.